I flew to Paris to marry my fiancée and found another man living in my apartment. The first person to open the door of my fiancée's Paris apartment was not my fiancé. It was a barefoot man wearing my bathrobe. He could not have been older than 23. Behind him, Claire Beaumont stood in the hallway, holding two grocery bags. She was laughing at something he had said, but the laughter died the moment she saw me. For several seconds, none of us moved. I looked at the man, then at the key in his hand, then at Claire. Adrian, she said carefully. Why are you here? That was her first question. Not how was your flight? Not why didn't you tell me you were coming? Not even I missed you. She asked why I was standing outside an apartment my company had rented for her. I raised my phone. My grandfather asked me to come. Claire's expression changed. Grandfather was undergoing heart surgery the following morning. His doctors had warned us that his chances were uncertain, and he had made one final request before entering the hospital. He wanted to see Claire and me together. Our families had announced our engagement nearly 3 years earlier. Claire and I had grown up in the same social circle, attended the same charity dinners and spent every summer at neighboring estates. Everyone assumed we would eventually marry. Until that moment, so had I. The young man smiled and extended his hand. You must be Adrian Cole. I did not take it. And you are Lucas Reed, Claire's classmate at the conservatory. He smiled as if that explained why he was answering her door in my clothes. Claire stepped between us. Lucas's student residence had serious plumbing damage. He needed somewhere temporary, and the apartment has a second bedroom. I see. I looked at the designer watch on his wrist. It was worth more than 6 months of student housing. Lucas noticed. His hand disappeared into his pocket. I'm already looking for another place, he said. I don't want to cause problems. Claire's head turned sharply toward me. You don't need to interrogate him. I asked one question. You're making him uncomfortable. I almost laughed. I had crossed an ocean after working for 92 consecutive days to find another man living with my fiancée. Yet somehow his comfort was the emergency. Claire lifted one grocery bag. It's late. We should go inside. Lucas moved aside. I entered the apartment and immediately noticed the changes. 2 pairs of shoes stood beside the door. 2 coats hung on the same hook. A photograph of Claire and Lucas at an art festival had been placed on the shelf where a framed picture of Claire and me used to stand. The picture of us was face down inside a drawer. I had not even unpacked when Lucas walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator and began preparing dinner as though he had lived there 4 years. Claire joined him. They wore matching grey aprons. Lucas tasted the sauce, then held the spoon toward her lips. Better than last time. Claire tried it. Much better. You're a good teacher. You're finally learning. They smiled at each other. It was not the smile of 2 classmates sharing temporary accommodation. It was intimate, familiar, domestic, the kind of smile people developed after spending countless evenings alone together. When they noticed me watching, Lucas quickly lowered the spoon. Claire stepped away from him. Neither of them explained. I placed my suitcase beside the sofa. Grandfather's video call in 40 minutes. Claire's expression softened immediately. Of course it did. My grandfather controlled 38% of Coal International. The final transfer of voting shares had not yet been completed. Claire knew that. Her family knew that. Everyone knew that grandfather wanted to see us married before he died. I'll change, she said. Lucas looked between us. Should I leave? Claire answered before I could. No, you've done nothing wrong. There it was again. His feelings before mine. His dignity before mine. His place in the apartment before mine. I looked directly at Lucas. You said you were searching for housing. I am. Then you should find something this week. Claire's voice sharpened. Adrian, she is my fiancée, and you are living in the apartment I arranged for her. I don't believe 1 week is unreasonable. Lucas lowered his eyes. Of course, he played the embarrassed student. Well, Claire immediately touched his arm. You don't have to decide tonight. His gaze met hers. For a brief moment, they seemed to forget I was standing there. That was when I understood the real danger. It was not that Claire had allowed a man to stay in the spare bedroom. It was that, in her mind, I had already become the outsider. Claire changed into a cream dress before the call. It was the same dress she had worn when our engagement was announced. She sat beside me, laced her fingers through mine, and rested her head against my shoulder. Her performance was flawless. On the screen, grandfather lay in a private hospital room surrounded by machines. His face looked smaller than I remembered. There they are, he said weakly. My favorite couple. Claire smiled. We've been thinking about you all day. I looked at her. She did not hesitate. Grandfather asked when we planned to register our marriage. Before traveling to Paris, I had intended to surprise him. I had brought every document we needed. The civil ceremony could have been arranged within days. Now those papers felt like evidence of my stupidity. Claire squeezed my hand under the table. Soon, she promised. Grandfather's eyes filled with relief. After the call, an email arrived from his attorney. The final share transfer agreement was attached. The document would give me control of the company if grandfather did not recover. Claire saw the email. Her arms slid around my waist. You've worked for this your entire life, she whispered. I removed her hands. She frowned. What's wrong? Are you asking as my fiancée or as the woman who shares an apartment with Lucas? Her expression hardened. I told you he's a friend. Do your friends usually wear your fiancé's clothes? He spilled coffee on himself. Your robe was clean. You keep defending details instead of acknowledging the situation. What situation? The one where another man has a key to your apartment, sleeps 10 meters from your bedroom and appears to be publicly treated as your partner. Her eyes flashed. Publicly. That photograph on the shelf. It was taken at a school event. Our photograph was hidden in a drawer. I was reorganizing, of course. Claire folded her arms. You came here looking for a reason to be angry. I came here expecting to marry you. That silenced her. For 1 second, surprise replaced defensiveness. You brought the documents. Yes. Her voice softened. Adrian, had I arrived 3 hours later, I might have taken you to the registry office tomorrow. We still can. I stared at her. She stepped closer. Lucas will move out. This has been misunderstood. By whom? By you. I laughed once. Then answer one simple question. Does Lucas believe you're engaged? Claire looked away. That was my answer. The following morning, I woke to barking. A golden retriever ran past the bedroom door with a blue ribbon tied around its neck. Lucas followed in running clothes. Come on, son, he called cheerfully. Let's say goodbye to your mother. Claire stood in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. Lucas lifted the dog's paw and waved it at her. Say goodbye to Mom. Claire laughed nervously when she saw me. It's only a joke. Lucas smiled. He follows her everywhere. We started calling ourselves his parents. How charming. Claire placed coffee on the counter. Don't make it strange. I'm not the one calling another man's dog my child. Lucas's smile disappeared. I didn't realize it would upset you. You appear to have avoided realizing many things. Claire set the cup down to hard. Enough. Lucas, take the dog outside. He obeyed, but not before giving her a wounded look. She waited until the door closed. Why are you humiliating him? I haven't done anything to him. You keep speaking as though he's some criminal. I'm speaking as a man whose fiancée is building a pretend family with someone else. It isn't a family. Then tell him that. She said nothing. I returned to the bedroom and began packing. Claire followed me. What are you doing? Moving to a hotel. You've just arrived, and I've already seen enough. She leaned against the door. Adrian, please don't turn this into a scandal. My classmates don't understand our family arrangement. Our engagement is not a classified government document. They wouldn't understand. What wouldn't they? understand. Her answer came too quickly. They would think I only got opportunities because of you. I stared at her. The apartment, the tuition assistants, the private introductions to collectors, the invitations to galleries unavailable to ordinary students, all of it had come through my family. Yet she was ashamed to admit I existed, not ashamed to use what came with me, only ashamed of me. At lunch, Claire insisted on taking me to a French restaurant near the conservatory. Two of her classmates approached our table. A woman named Camille smiled at Claire. "So you and Lucas are speaking again." Claire went still. Camille continued in French. Assuming I would not understand, he posted that he was looking for another apartment. "Did you two have a fight?" The man beside her looked at me. "Is this the wealthy admirer Lucas mentioned?" Camille lowered her voice. "He knows Claire is with Lucas, doesn't he?" The man laughed. "Some people don't care whether a woman has a boyfriend." Claire finally interrupted. "It's complicated. Don't make assumptions. Complicated." She did not call me her fiancé. She did not correct them. She allowed to strangers to believe I was pursuing a woman already in a relationship. I answered in fluent French. "I'm Adrian Cole. Claire and I have been formally engaged for 3 years." The table became silent. Camille's smile vanished. The man stared at Claire. "You're engaged?" "Yes," I said. "And the apartment where Lucas is currently living was arranged by my company." Claire's face drained of color. Camille stepped backward. "I'm sorry. We had no idea. Neither, apparently, did Lucas." I stood. Claire followed me outside. "How could you embarrass me like that?" I turned. "Embarrass you? My classmates will talk." They were already talking. "They believed Lucas was your boyfriend." "That's not my fault. You allowed it." "I don't control what people assume. You control whether you tell the truth." She grabbed my wrist. "Please, we can fix this." I removed her hand. "Our families introduced us when we were children. I believed familiarity was enough to build a marriage." Her eyes filled with panic. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I no longer know whether marrying you would be a partnership or a public relations disaster. You care more about your company than you care about me." "No, I care about whether the woman beside me respects me." She stared at me as if I had broken an unspoken rule. Perhaps I had. Claire had always believed I would remain because our families expected it, because my grandfather wanted it, because I had loved her for too long to reconsider. She had mistaken history for permission. That evening, I developed a fever. I had barely slept since arriving, and the cold Paris rain had soaked through my coat after I left the restaurant. By midnight, I could hardly stand. Claire appeared in the bedroom doorway. "You look terrible. I need medication." She touched my forehead. Her expression changed. "I'll find something." Before she could move, Lucas cried out in the hallway. The apartment door had closed on his finger. Claire ran to him. He sat on the floor clutching his hand. "I can't move it," he said. "What if I can't play piano?" Claire knelt beside him. "We're going to the hospital." She helped him stand. I called her name. She looked toward the bedroom. "I'll return as soon as I know he's all right. I have a fever." "You're resting." Lucas may have damaged his hand. The door closed behind them. The apartment became silent. I tried to reach the kitchen, but collapsed against the wall. Eventually, I called the only person in Paris who might help me, Henry Laurent, a business partner of Cole International. His assistant sent an ambulance. At the hospital, a doctor told me the infection was close to developing into pneumonia. I remained under observation for 2 nights. Claire called once. I was undergoing tests and missed it. She did not call again. Henry visited both days. He brought clean clothes, answered company messages on my behalf, and never once asked why my fiancée was absent. The silence was kinder than the truth. When I returned to the apartment, my suitcase had been opened. Clothes were scattered across the bedroom. My laptop remained untouched, but an envelope was missing. Inside it had been 2 invitations to the private exhibition of Gabriel Roth, one of Europe's most influential contemporary painters. Gabriel was an old university friend. The invitations had been issued in my name. I called him. Did someone arrive using my passes? There was a pause. A woman named Claire and a young man. Do not admit them. They're already inside. The invitations were taken from my luggage. Gabriel's tone changed immediately. I'll handle it. His security team escorted Claire and Lucas from the event. No public confrontation, no spectacle, simply to names removed from the guest list for using invitations that did not belong to them. Claire called me 17 times. I did not answer. Later, Gabriel sent the security report to my attorney. I added it to the growing folder of reasons the engagement had become impossible. My grandfather died the following morning. His heart stopped before dawn. I returned to New York that afternoon. At the funeral, Claire's parents stood near my family, as though nothing had happened. Claire remained in Paris. Her mother whispered that her studies were too important to interrupt. I said nothing. I had spent years believing my grandfather's attachment to Claire's family justified our engagement. The truth was less romantic. When he was young, grandfather had loved Claire's grandmother. She rejected him and married a schoolteacher. Instead, after her death, he attempted to ease his regret by supporting her descendants. The apartment, the tuition, the travel, the invitations and the allowances had all grown from an old man's guilt. Claire's family had accepted his generosity for more than 20 years. Somewhere along the way, gratitude had become entitlement. 3 days after the funeral, I instructed our attorneys to prepare an agreement terminating the engagement. Claire's parents came to our New York office. Her mother placed a document on the table as though it were offensive. You cannot end a family commitment because of a student misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Claire helped a younger classmate. She concealed our engagement, lived with him and allowed her university to believe they were a couple. Her father adjusted his glasses. Young people make mistakes. Then she can learn from this one. Claire's mother leaned forward. Your grandfather would never have allowed this. My grandfather is gone. The words silenced the room. I continued calmly. The engagement will be terminated. The Paris apartment will be reclaimed at the end of the month. The supplementary cards connected to Cole International will be cancelled. Future educational sponsorship will also end. Her mother's face changed. You're punishing our daughter financially. No, I'm ending benefits connected to a marriage. That will not happen. She pushed the agreement away. We refuse. My attorney opened a second folder. Then we will proceed formally and request reimbursement for unauthorized use of corporate housing and expenses unrelated to the engagement. Claire's father immediately picked up the pen. His wife stared at him. You can't be serious. We should settle this privately, he murmured. He signed. For the first time in my life, my future belonged entirely to me. Claire returned to New York 2 weeks later. She appeared outside the headquarters of Cole International carrying a bouquet of red roses. She knelt near the entrance, while employees and journalists watched. Security called my assistant. Ms. Beaumont says she won't leave until Mr. Cole speaks to her. I continued reviewing a contract. Ask her to leave. She says she wants to apologize publicly. She had 3 years to acknowledge me publicly. She doesn't need an audience now. Security escorted her from the property. That evening, I found her sitting in my father's living room. My stepmother had invited her inside. Adrian, Claire said, standing quickly. Please listen to me. My stepmother touched my arm. She traveled all this way. Every relationship has misunderstandings. I moved her hand away. This does not concern you. Her smile disappeared. Claire stepped toward me. I've ended everything with Lucas. That was not a condition I gave you. I made him leave the apartment. The apartment is no longer yours. Her eyes filled with tears. I know I behaved badly. You behaved honestly. She stared at me. Honestly. You showed me who you choose when no One is forcing you. I never chose him over you. You left me sick and alone because he hurt his finger. I panicked. You stole invitations from my suitcase. Lucas said it could help his career. You allowed classmates to call me the other man. I didn't know how to explain our engagement. You could have used one sentence. Claire's voice broke. I didn't want everyone to think my success came from you, but you were comfortable accepting everything. That did come from me. She had no answer. I walked toward the study. Adrian, she called desperately. I fought the engagement because our families decided it for us. I wanted one part of my life to belong only to me. I stopped. That was the first explanation she had. Given that sounded real, she continued. Lucas represented freedom. He knew nothing about the families or the expectations. With him, I could be ordinary. You were free to end our engagement. I didn't want to lose you. You wanted my loyalty without offering your own. Her shoulders shook. I was confused. No, you wanted to lives and assumed I would finance both. Her face turned pale. I love you. I believe you love the security I gave you. That isn't fair. Neither was being treated like a stranger inside an apartment I provided. She reached for me. I stepped away. That movement destroyed whatever hope remained in her expression. For most of our lives, I'd always closed the distance between us. This time, I opened the study door. The engagement is over. Claire. She began crying. I regret everything. I believe you. Then forgive me. I may forgive you one day. Her eyes lifted. But forgiveness will not make you my wife. I closed the door. For several months, life became quiet. Then Claire's mother posted a video online. She sat beneath carefully arranged lighting and cried while describing her daughter as the victim of a cruel billionaire heir. According to her version, Claire had simply helped a struggling student. I had allegedly destroyed the engagement out of jealousy, evicted an innocent young woman from her home and used wealth to punish an artist for being independent. The video spread quickly. Influencers called me controlling. Commentators described Claire as a modern heroine, escaping an arranged marriage. A photograph of her sitting alone in the rain was reposted thousands of times. My communications director entered my office, carrying a tablet. We can ignore it, she said. But the company's share price is beginning to react. Release the facts. Our legal and communications teams published a timeline. The signed engagement announcement, evidence that Claire had concealed it at school, statements from classmates who believed she and Lucas were dating, the stolen exhibition invitations, records showing that the apartment and major expenses had been funded by Cole International. We did not release private medical information. We did not insult Claire. We did not attack her appearance or her career. We released documents. Facts were enough. Public opinion changed within hours. The story was no longer about a wealthy man punishing a free-spirited artist. It was about a family accepting millions in support while hiding a relationship that contradicted the terms of that support. Several accounts that had made false claims deleted their posts. Others received formal requests for a correction. Claire's mother attempted a second live stream. During the broadcast, a former graduate assistant from Claire's father's university joined. Unexpectedly, the young woman alleged that Professor Beaumont had promised her career opportunities while secretly maintaining an inappropriate personal relationship with her. Documents later confirmed that he had approved academic benefits despite the conflict of interest. The university opened an ethics investigation. Claire's mother ended the broadcast in shock. Within a week, Professor Beaumont was suspended. Sponsors withdrew from projects associated with him. The family that had accused me of using power to control others was forced to answer questions about how power had been used inside their own home. I did not celebrate. I did not need to. Consequences had arrived without my assistance. Claire called from a new number. Did you arrange the woman's appearance on my mother's live stream? No. I don't believe you. That no longer matters. My father may lose his position. Then he should cooperate with the investigation. My family is collapsing. I'm sorry. You don't sound sorry. I am sorry that you're suffering. I'm not responsible for repairing it. She became quiet. Lucas wants money. Why? He says he can't finish his studies. Without help. And what did you tell him? That I don't have it. 4 years. Claire's family had lived as though the coal money belonged to them. Now they were discovering the true cost of their lifestyle. Adrian, she whispered, I finally understand. What? Lucas didn't love me. He loved the apartment, the invitations and the people I could introduce him to. I looked through my office window at Manhattan. That must hurt. I gave up everything for someone who only wanted what came with me. The irony was so obvious that neither of us needed to say it. She began crying. Is this how I made you feel? Yes, I'm sorry. This time, the apology sounded different. There was no demand attached, no request that I return, no promise of a wedding, only regret. I hope you build a better life. Claire, is there any chance that life could include you? No, she inhaled sharply. Then she ended the call. A year later, I opened a new Coal International office in Paris. My communications director, Evelyn Parker, traveled with me. Evelyn was the opposite of Claire. She disliked grand gestures, never pretended not to understand a contract and considered honesty a form of respect rather than aggression. We had worked together through the scandal. Over time, work dinners became personal dinners. Personal dinners became weekends neither of us called dates. The first time Evelyn introduced me to her friends, she did not describe me as an employer, investor or family connection. She simply took my hand. This is Adrian, she said. He's the man I'm seeing. A sentence. That was all it took. No secrecy, no confusion. No one mistook me for the other man. After the Paris office opening, Evelyn and I stopped at a small gallery near the Seine. A painting in the window caught my attention. It depicted a woman standing alone inside an empty apartment while two shadows disappeared through opposite doors. The artist's name was Claire Beaumont. I entered the gallery. The owner recognized me, but wisely said nothing. Claire had produced an entire collection about regret, pride, and the cost of treating love as something guaranteed. The paintings were good, painfully good. One had already sold. For the first time, she was building a career without my family's invitations. Evelyn stood beside me. Do you want to see her? No. Are you sure? Yes. I looked at the final painting. A man stood at the edge of a sunrise, holding no luggage and looking back at nothing. The title was The Day He Chose Himself. I smiled, then Evelyn and I left the gallery. Across the street, someone called my name. Claire stood beneath the awning of a cafe. She looked older, but calmer. Lucas was nowhere beside her. She approached slowly. I heard the company opened. An office here. It did. Her gaze moved to Evelyn's hand in mine. You look happy. I am. Claire nodded as though she had expected the answer, but still needed time to accept it. Lucas left when the money disappeared, she said. I heard. I blamed you for everything. I know, I was wrong. Evelyn offered to wait inside the cafe, but I shook my head. There was nothing Claire could say that Evelyn should not hear. Claire looked toward the gallery. Did you see the paintings? Yes. The last one is about you. I assume so. Her eyes glistened. When we were young, I thought our engagement meant you would always remain, no matter what I did, no matter how far I pushed. I believed you belonged to the future our families had planned. And now I know love isn't ownership. She looked at Evelyn. It's choosing someone when they are free to leave. Evelyn's fingers tightened gently around mine. Claire gave a sad smile. I'm not going to ask you to come back. Thank you. I only wanted you to know that I finally became the woman you once believed I was. I considered her words. I'm glad. She wiped a tear from her cheek. Just not in time. No, the answer hurt her. but it did not destroy her. Claire nodded, stepped back, and let us pass. For the first time, she did not try to stop me. 2 years later, Evelyn and I married in a small ceremony in Scotland. There were no corporate announcements, no family contracts, no pressure from dying relatives, only people we trusted, standing beneath a grey sky while rain moved across the hills. Before the ceremony, Evelyn found me adjusting my tie. "You can still change your mind," she said. "Are you hoping I will?" "Absolutely not. I only want you to know you're here because you chose to be." I took her hand. "So are you," she smiled. "That's the point." We walked into the chapel together, not because our grandparents had once loved each other, not because our families had made promises, not because money, reputation, or obligation demanded it. We chose each other openly. Years earlier, I had flown to Paris expecting to marry a woman I had known almost my entire life. Instead, I found another man living in my apartment and discovered that history could not replace respect. Claire thought an engagement guaranteed my loyalty. Her family thought generosity had no limit. Lucas thought love was another door wealth could open. They were all wrong. Love without respect becomes entitlement. Generosity without boundaries becomes exploitation. And a promise made years ago does not require you to ignore the person standing in front of you today. Walking away did not destroy my future. It protected it. Sometimes the most important commitment you will ever make is not the promise to stay beside another person. It is the promise that you will never again remain where you were treated as optional. What would you have done after finding another man? Living with your fiancée ended the engagement immediately or given her one final chance? Share your opinion in the comments and follow for more emotional stories about betrayal, regret, and second chances. This story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes.